Hello, everyone. My name is CJ Weglarz, and I read Leading Transformation. Oh, goodness, you cannot see that. Probably still too bright. There we go. Leading Transformation. How to Take Charge of Your Company's Future. This is by Nathan Fuhr, Kyle Neal Thomas, and Zoga Ramsoy. This book is primarily talking about how to not only take organizational change and leadership, but it's about how you display that information. They use a pretty unconventional way of how to display their ideas and their philosophies of what they should do. These three authors, co-authors, studied in different areas of ranging. One was more business-like, the other one was neuroscience, and they all came together to formulate a way to help big companies become more innovative. And one of their case studies was Lowe's. So they talked about how in 2000, in 2012, my apologies. Lowe's was in a tough spot in about 2012, where they're the second largest home improvement retailer in the world. But they were maxing out in America, and they were trying to get into Canada as well as Mexico and Australia. But they were just kind of like in the big corporate way, where they were very risk adverse and not only going about their quarterly earnings and just trying to increment their way slowly. It wasn't until the three authors approached them and came and being consultants of how they could innovate and change the home improvement area. And what they did was they used a very unique style to demonstrate everything I'm about to tell you. They did it in a comic book. They talked to those board executives and got into the meeting and handed them out all comic books, which was a very unique way of going about this. And the way that they did this was they hired sci-fi authors, and they had them talk about keeping the customer at the basis of all the stories and having a full story arc of, how involving conflict resolution and like the entire process of a normal story arc. And they came up with the more sci-fi things, such as exosuits, robots in the store helping customers, and having 3D printing scanners inside stores. They were able to pretty much have AR and VR be one of the main drivers of motivation for them to implement into their technologies, having the smartphones be able to hold that capability. Lowe's signed up and said yes, that they're going to go for this. And they were recognized as one of the leading companies, I think in about 2016, I want to say. Oh no, sorry, it's about 2018. Lowe's had earned Fortune's recognition as the most innovative company in its category, and Fast Company's recognition as the #1 innovator company of AR and VR technology. So, in short, these authors came in, used the storybook, comic book as a way to present instead of a PowerPoint, to really innovate and capture the minds of what their vision was. And they helped with Lowe's develop plans and partnerships that they normally would not have. They partnered up with Microsoft and Google to help develop the technologies for AR and VR, as well as different 3D printing companies, and being able, I think it was a 3D printing company that was focused on doing 3D printing in space. Because whenever they tried to work with a 3D printer company, they were just trying to sell them 3D printers instead of innovating with them. So this book just talks more so about a lot of different case studies, and really revolving around the Lowe's case study as their primary example, and how you're supposed to use I just want to make sure I have my words correctly. Using neuroscience by planning for what they would adopt today as what they would have to adopt in the next 5 years from now, or that they would never adopt. So they partnered with a PhD doctor to advise and conduct neuroscience research that helped make them decisions based on data instead of instinct. So they had these like caps that they would put on customers to show them the AR and VR technology. And they were able to measure a person's threshold of like how much stimulation could they handle at the point of like where it was overwhelming and they were not being able to, how should I say this, accept what was really happening. So it was so stimulating, so overwhelming that they would be like, that's too much for me. I can't really handle that. Even though if they might say, oh, that's such a really cool technology, I'd love it. But in reality, they were able to find the sweet spot of like how much could a customer handle in terms of exposure to AR and VR technologies, being able to fully scan a room and then being able to take your phone and use from their store a little like chair or any like other home improvement product they have, and then what it actually looks like inside of your own house. So some of the big like characteristics that came about in this book were working with uncommon partnerships. They turned the legal team, which was like, hey, we're not going to go for this new innovative technology, and we're going to go with, then they explained them the story like this of like, if we don't do this, someone else will. And they got the legal team on their side. They started small with making sure that they are doing their own experiments, slowly building up without any like real money at stake, having results, then presenting that to a group, a team that believes in that, continue to work and develop that, and then eventually continuing up the chain of command with exploring these ideas and like, hey, we should really pursue this. That's pretty much the book, is just that Lowe's case, and how to use the data in terms of like neuroscience and like people's reaction towards things and to your advantage. 3 takeaways that I got from this was negative capability. Negative capability is being able to be comfortable with being a leading trender. So like first persons into the market, being like, I'm okay with being uncertain, and being very comfortable, being uncomfortable, and understanding that the risks that you're taking is going to be well worth it, and that anything is okay because you're going to learn from it. The other thing that I liked from this is being a yay sayer to challenge or obstacles. So anything that is, if there's a lot of conflict coming your way, is being able to accept it, say, yes, I'll take that on, versus just being like, oh, this is my idea is now being challenged, I'm going to walk away from that. No, saying, yes, I'm going to accept this, I'm going to move forward. And then lastly is being able to, when you're starting something new, or maybe something that's already out there, go look to see if it's already been done. Learn from other people's mistakes as much as you can, and then go out and do your own, because the best way that you're going to learn is by learning from your own failure. And that right now is something I really appreciate. And how I rate this book, I'd probably say 7 out of 10. Just because of those like 3 little messages, such as negative capability. That one really spoke to me, of being able to be like, you should be welcoming this uncomfortableness of not knowing anything. So 7 out of 10 for leading transformation. I liked it. It was a cool, newer book to read. So I would recommend reading it, just for like the different ideas of what's going on in today's technology. Thank you.